Well, they say that the woman should know how to cook and clean and iron, but is that really true? Let's find out how to be practically ready for marriage coming up.
You don't actually love him.
So now you're what we're doing, helicopter parenting.
But we can even get more used to carrying the emotional bags.
I started down this journey on going from what I like to call healing to wholeness.
But we're not created as beings to be alone.
Welcome to Live, Love, and Marry Wiser, where our mission is in our name. Proverbs 4:7 says, wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom. But with all that getting, get understanding. And we are here week by week to help you get some understanding. Today, we're talking marriage prep 101, the practical, not the whimsical. If you might notice on that thumbnail, we got a little help with that this week, trying to mix some things up. But she's doing her hair and all that stuff. Is that really how we prep for marriage? Onita, how are you today?
I am doing good, sis. I've had a good day. The sun is out, a little breezy, but it's still beautiful. We don't have any more of those tornado warnings and watches that we were under the other night. So I'm grateful for that. And I've had a great and productive day. And I'm very happy to be here another Tuesday. This is part of my non-negotiables, aka self-care as well for this year. And so I'm very happy to be here and see your beautiful face. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
I've done a lot today. And I got my eyes checked and they haven't changed. So that's a first. And so that's always good when you get older. So
Yes.
and yeah, I did some other stuff trying to get the book ready for you all.
Yay, excited.
Trying to work through the book design and all of those things that go into that. So I'm excited about getting that on the shelves. Hopefully, if not, it's going to be done by the end of the month, but we still got to get edited and all of that. So
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure how long that will take, but we're going to have it ready for you all very shortly, and it's going to be good. You're going to love it, I think.
I'm excited. Just a little peek at your covers the other day got me excited. I'm like, this thing, we never doubted it because you've already written before, so we know it's coming out. And we try to give you a break so you can get a little bit more writing. But it is what it is. But just seeing the cover, I'm excited, and I'm excited for all of the singles that are going to get this wealth of information that so many people need. Like, this is for men, women, and singles.
Mm-hmm.
If you're single, and I even think, honestly, because even on our podcast, there's episodes sometimes where we're like, oh, this ain't for the married. We still learning. I'm married and I'm still learning. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I think everybody can learn, learn from your book and your writing. I'm just excited that God has blessed you and inspired you again to write another book, another one of many, and that you're almost done.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, seeing the cover does take it to another level, and get you kind of like, okay, especially since this is, I'm not a designer, so the first one was mine, and it's like, oh yeah, that's cool. Just from a general, it's cool to have a book, but this one someone else is designing, so I'm really excited because that's their gift, and so just I don't even know how. I didn't give him any clues because I had no clues about what I wanted because I didn't know what I wanted. And so for him to come up with so many different ideas and for us to resonate with one as we're still tweaking, but as we resonate, it was nice. So every time I look at it, I'm thinking, oh, that's going to be good. So super excited.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited.
All right. So we're going to let you all, when that drops, you need to be getting it. You need to be buying it.
Yes.
No delays. Y'all did great on the first book. But this one is pretty much all that I've talked about in the last 10 years around singles ministry, you're going to get almost all of that. And you can, it's going to be good. I think it's going to be a game changer.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. That's what I'm like. Everybody better get their time in now. They better start booking you now. Because I think after this book comes out, you're gonna be so booked to capacity, like it's not even gonna be possible to see you.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Y'all shout me out in the chat. How are you all doing today? Hey, Marion. Hey, Taylor. Nice to see you. Well, y'all know what chapter we're on. We're chapter 13 of the Adventist Home.
Yeah, chapter 13, domesticating. What is it called?
Domestic.
That's a domesticating.
Yeah.
Domestic training.
Woo, so I know y'all gonna be in the chat. Come on with me, because
right.
I already know. I already know this one. This one might cause a little spice in your heart. Might be a little controversial. So I'm gonna go ahead and read my my quote. Remember, we're in the Adventist home. The Adventist means you're simply waiting for the Lord Jesus to come. You are looking forward to that, and you want your home to be moving in that direction. And so here is the quote for today.
Okay.
Upon no account should the marriage relation be entered upon until the parties, plural, have a knowledge of the duties of a practical domestic life. Let's go ahead and get that hyped up already. What are you thoughts? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? I was a little bit, it's not, I mean, I knew the chapter was coming, so I was ready, whatever, but I was like, she's coming with us. She's coming for us. There's some good stuff here, but once again, you might want to fight against it, but is there truth in it? Go ahead.
Oh, there's so much truth in it. And like you said, as far as about the fight in it, well, people may have an attitude, we're in a time where people don't want to assign genders, yet alone gender roles. And to actually having to say, I mean, the way I grew up, what a woman needing to prepare for in life before marriage, knowing how to be a homemaker, knowing how to care for your family, knowing how to take care of a house, keep a house clean, all the things that I was trained as growing up in my household. Like, you did these things. Now, mind you, my dad, he cleaned too. He knew how to clean and cook and all the things, but he was the sole provider. He went out. It wasn't that he didn't know how to do it, but because he is the one out there making the money, paying the bills, bringing home, it was never asked of him because we were trained to do it. We knew how to do it. But I think in today's society, when people are very much, gung-ho on saying, he can do it too. We both, I work or he work or I didn't work, he should be able to cook, clean, do the laundry, all the things. Great. Yes, he should be able to. And guess what? I'm training my son to be able to, so that he don't feel like as soon as he leaves home, he has to rush into marriage for somebody else to take care of him. So yeah, he should be able to. But Auntie Ellen is saying, and I mean, call me old school, and this is the way my grandmother taught me, but she's saying, hey, ladies, you need to know how to take care of home before you try to become somebody's wife. Take care of you, your home, your spouse, and if you plan to have children, them too. You need to know how to do all that stuff before you run in and looking at your dress, saying yes to the dress, having the cake tastings and the bachelorette and bridal showers and all those things. You can't wait till I say I do and just think, magically, I'm going to know how to do all these stuff now. You can't teach you everything, baby girl. It can't teach you everything.
No, I hear you. And I agree. I mean, I think that it's very naive to think that most men are going to be looking to you to do these things. There are a lot of men who cook and they end up being the one that cooks mostly for the family. Great. Because she said parties. She said the marriage, like the parties have a knowledge of practical domestic life. But her focus throughout the book, she separates what those are.
Yes.
In some respects, there's some specific ones that for men and women, then there's some other things that are just you both should know. And she says in other places that men should know how to do all these things too. She's
Yeah.
never it's not like they can just sit around and do nothing, but she's saying you're the wife.
Yeah.
We are the homemakers,
Yes.
regardless, even if the husband cooks, even if he cleans, you're still the homemaker. And so, and we kind of started this in the beginning in a little sense, but hit me in the chat if y'all are offended or bothered or you agree or whatever you are. but that you and she goes further than what we might even say. She's like, you should be educated in cooking and cleaning and sewing and making bread and all of those things more than or before. And if you have to choose one, instead of education, like from a academic perspective, and then all of these, I guess a lot of people were, playing the piano and music and all these types of things. She's like, you need to know how to sew. You need to know how to, you need
Yes.
to know how to make some stuff for your family. You need to know that. And the thing, she says something interesting that I want to throw at you right here in just the first page. He says, it is the right of every daughter of Eve to have a thorough knowledge of household duties, to receive training in every department of domestic labor. Now,
Yes.
in 2025, how many women are thinking, oh, it's my right, I get to do it, versus
Right.
I have to do it?
Yes. Listen. Well, we saw one thread, well, not one thread, one reel a few months ago. I wish we saved it. I forget what the lady called it. Remember, she was like, I'm this type of, that's the type, I forget the phrase they call it, where she is the wife that wants to be home. He pay all the bills.
Oh yeah, the trad wife.
Yes, yes. And of course she had a lot of people under her feet, real saying yes, but she had a whole lot more, like, had problems with it. Listen, I take joy. I took joy and I still take joy. But maybe just to be here caring for the house, caring for the the joy. Okay.
Really?
And a lot of times you don't even realize. Now I do like getting out. Now that the kids are older, I will say this. Now that they're older, I have more time now to do the business stuff that I do now. But at a certain season when they were younger, I would lost my mind having to go assist clients and then try to be here and nurse every boo-boo, having, cleaning, cooking, being, lady in the streets and a freak in the bed late. Like, it's hard to do all of those things. Working 50, 60 hours a week.
It is hard to do all those things.
And try to be nice and patient and loving, having all the fruits of the spirit, put it that way. It's not impossible. People do it all the time. But having the fruits of the spirit too, put it that way.
Yeah.
And being kind and walking in my holiness. And it's way more stressful. So I definitely take joy. And that's the part of it. I will say sometimes while in it, you are frustrated because you get in a season where, hey, when I was home only doing those things, sometimes it's like, man, I want to be out with the adults. And sometimes those who are out working kind of forget about you because they already out. So they may decide, okay, girls, we're going after work. We're going to run over here to Cheesecake Factory because they already out working. So you kind of, miss some of the invites and miss some of the girls' trips because that's not your time. And so you do have moments of men feeling left out or people who look down on it and think because you're not working a certain job and bring home the paycheck that I wish, they'll make little comments. People just say all the time, it must be nice. And I'm like, actually, when I leave the house to work and do real estate, that's my break, baby. Like working, being out the home was a break for me versus me actually being at home with the kids where it was no break until bedtime. So I definitely can say I love both, but also recognizing what season you're in and what Auntie Ellen is telling us, you need to be prepared for that.
Right. And
you got to be prepared.
I think that's the important part. First of all, I just applaud even that you said you enjoyed it. And I know that you're not saying like every single moment, every single diaper, every single whatever,
Right.
throw up, but that you
Yeah.
have to clean up. But this, the enjoyed the period to be able to just do that and not have to also be thinking about how to bring in the bacon and cook the
Hmm.
bacon and clean up the bacon after the bacon is thrown on the floor. So like all of that.
Yes.
So and I think that um there's kind of a spirit in the air, that the zeitgeist, if you will, that doesn't allow women to say that they enjoy being at home taking care of their husband and their children.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I think that that's really sad, because we were created to nurture. And yeah, I'm not saying that that's your only purpose, because your children grow up. And
Yes.
so then, God has other things, but the beginning of the book is that your first ministry is your home.
Yes.
And so if you're doing that with joy and enthusiasm, and like looking forward to like pouring into your children
Hmm.
and your husband, your family, and your home and all of that, then God is pleased with that, because that is your purpose at that
Yes.
time.
Yes.
And so, kind of, I know you've said this before, but it still kind of makes me sad to think that, I mean, of course they were just haters because they wish
Yeah.
they could do it, but
Right.
that people were saying, must be nice and all that kind of sarcastic stuff. And then of course you have the people who think that, you're not fully a woman if you're not out, you know, doing the thing, boss babe and all that stuff. So there's such contradiction in just the perspective.
Mhm.
But the fact that you can be like, yeah, I enjoyed that. I did it. Now I'm in a different season. I don't need to do that. All my kids are in school, almost grown, all of that stuff. And so I'm doing something else that God has for me to do. I
Right.
think that's important. But then the fact that she calls it a right, I think is amazing, because it changes your perspective. Even just that word, when I read it, I was like, wow, you have the right to do that. That's
Yes.
cool, because it's like you are walking in your womanhood. You're and not if you're not married, which most of us watching probably aren't, because this is a podcast for single women. But if you're not married, it doesn't mean you can't still do that. And
Yeah.
you shouldn't still do that for yourself, you know, and like
Yeah.
have um that mindset of getting, of course it's harder because you also have to work, so you may not do it at the same level, but you may do it at the same level. You may still come and cook a whole meal for yourself, um, from scratch, which I'm doing that a lot now with the whole no salt, oil, sugar thing. I have to cook most of the stuff that I eat, and I enjoyed that, but I also have to work.
Yeah.
So balancing that whole thing. But I just think that calling it a right is such a an amazing twist to how we typically see domestic duties, from a female perspective. So
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Because we forget that. And I would say, and it's probably because of growing up and seeing the tired mother who's having to
mhm,
work and still do all of that,
yeah.
is why people would grow up, feeling begrudgingly about it, like not seeing the joy in it. Prime example right now, Megan Markle. I'm not sure if I said it right. Um, People are mad because they thought, oh, she's going to be doing something extra on her show she has on Netflix right now. And I watched the first two episodes and I was like, she's like me. I do these things for my kids. And what I also enjoyed about it, she was like me too, who did grow up being a latchkey kid, who ate the TV dinners, who ate the ramen. That was not her lifestyle, but she grew into learning and knowing that. And
Mhm,
she was just she's simply showing a little bit more effort on this. Okay, not only, yeah, she can buy her kids the jam, but if you got the berries, go ahead and make the jam. Like, do, and people are like pissed that, I don't know if they thought it was going to be way more sophisticated than a Martha
mm.
Stewart episode, but again, she's a black woman and she's living in her soft girl era, and people of all races had a problem with it. And I was like, oh, y'all mad? Because she's able to be, and it's her right. It is her right
It's
to
her
be
right.
able to spend that time. She says, even in the morning, to add a little extra something to it to make her kid's day. To that, I'm gonna not just put fruit on their plate, but I'm going to make it in a smiley face. I'm gonna put the bananas like a little smile and the berries and a little
Mhm.
strawberry nose, because she knows they're gonna remember that stuff later.
Mhm.
They don't even remember the toy.
People mad about that?
Yeah, they were mad. People were actually
Well,
mad.
I don't even know why I'm surprised about that, because people are just
Right.
mad. Like, there's just a general anger in, no matter what you say, people get angry. So just bring it on. But
Yes,
this was the cool part of this section, where she's just like, she should be fully competent to guide and instruct her children
yes,
and to direct her servants.
yeah. Listen,
Or if need be, minister with her own hands. So she's like, you need to know how to do this regardless of your station in life.
yes,
Just like you're talking about Megan, like, obviously she could have, I don't know if she does have, but they could have servants, they could have nannies, they could have all the things. But she's like, you need to learn how to do this regardless, because first of all, how do you instruct somebody if you don't know how to do it, and you don't even know what you want? Someone just comes in and it's just like they do it their way. But if they're working for you, then you want them to do it your way and what matters to you. But
yes,
then also, we can't rely on our station in life staying the same way.
yeah,
And so you can have servants today, and then next year not be able to afford no servants.
yes. And look, there was a time when we couldn't afford cleaners, and actually, I don't think we do it now. We can afford it now, but mother's like, my wife says she's tired. She's doing all the things, and especially now that I'm out the house a lot more working, at least once a month. Hey, maybe not twice, not every 2 weeks, but hey, we're gonna have the cleaning ladies come in, and it's a
Mhm.
team of them, and I'm so grateful for them, because there's cleaning that you do anyway. I'm like, they're doing the things like you said that I'm directing that need to be done. But there's extra stuff they doing that I'm not gonna do.
Right.
They're wiping the blinds. Oh, it's spring. They're like, it's pollen. Let me wipe the blinds. There's extra stuff they're doing, and I'm so grateful to them for that. But I'm also grateful to him that he said, wife said she's tired. We're gonna go ahead and budget to have people come in here. And
Mhm.
even that, it was a big deal for me to initially, I would say, relent and say, okay, babe, you can, because there was this subconscious thought in my mind going, how could you? Your grandmother would be, if she could, if there's such a thing as turnover in her grave, but she'd be like, girl, you got some other women in your house taking care of your house. Being a good wife and being a good woman in general, you got to do all the things. You got to carry all the things. You got to spin all 10 plates, plus take care of your man too, and all this other stuff. But he got tired of hearing the tired, and and I had to be like, forget this condition in my mind of I got to do all the stuff. And I had to be
Mhm.
like, okay, no, I don't. So it started off initially just as I think, birthday gift or Mother's Day gift. And at one point we started doing it every 2 weeks. We're
Nice.
managing in between, and yes, my kids are doing chores, and they were younger, but was training them to do stuff. They weren't dealing with none of the harmful chemicals, but yeah, they're tidying it up too.
Oh
We're
yeah.
maintaining it. We're maintaining it in between that time, but we made it a point to say we're going to budget that. And then I found out, as I began to talk to some other people, oh, you use a cleaning service too? But these are other women who I also thought were doing everything. Like, because comparison, you start to think, well, I can't share this. I'm like, girl, please. I got somebody coming here once a week. You just want every 2 weeks. Because they are, especially because they are working full time, and everybody's working full time. And then there's the soccer practice or piano lessons or
Yeah.
gymnastics and all the things. And they found themselves, if they weren't outside the house, they're now back in the house cooking, cleaning, and they're literally just sleeping there. And they said we had to do something to
Mhm.
balance. And that's good, because I mean, again, I come from a generation where we didn't even use the dishwasher. You were considered
Mhm.
lazy if you were using a dishwasher.
Right.
And
Right.
so even that had to get out of my brain. Girl, we use that dishwasher. We use it.
Use
Let
the
my kids,
dishwasher.
y'all go ahead. This will make sure we load it the right way, clean off the food off top of it, and use that dishwasher, which they say
Use
is
the
actually more
dishwasher.
energy efficient anyway.
They do.
Yeah.
And water. So I think that's really good, and just kind of owning your own space and
Mhm.
saying, this is, she's not saying this is what makes you a woman. God made you a woman. She's saying that this is important if you're going to have a household, that you're going to be having a husband and children, and just even for yourself. And then here's another thing. She says it's your right to know the principles of hygiene and the mechanisms of the body, and understanding your children and your body so that you can cook healthy food. Like, there's a responsibility for the person who is doing that,
Mhm.
typically the wife, um, to cook food that is healthy for the children, to know
Yes.
how the body works, to understand all of these things. And so it's not about being a maid or a slave or even a servant to your, I mean, a servant in the sense of a godly way, but even a servant to your family. It's about helping your family be the best, healthiest, um, most advanced, like that they can be.
Mhm.
And the mother has a huge influence over that.
Mhm. That balance, and the other thing she pointed out too was, I would say, the cleaning, the knowing how to parenting, also managing finances.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
You can go there if you want to.
Yeah. To
I'm
say
going to
you should,
talk about the men.
okay. Oh, you said go to the men. Go to the men.
Well, there's a whole lot more for the women before we get
Yeah,
to
this chapter. Yeah.
yeah. But so I think that what's important to say about this is that this is not something that she kind of casually approaches.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about marriage prep 101, this is like just really at the lowest end of the basics of, because we know, both of us, I'm sure, know women who can't cook and they can't clean. And I
Mhm.
don't really understand the concept of not being able to clean, but I guess that's still true.
Mhm.
Or don't want to clean or whatever. Because I mean, it just seems like you could just, get some cleaner or Google it or something and be like, oh, how do you clean? But I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay. But not knowing how to cook a meal. And the reality is, and I think they might have said it even on, maybe I heard it on another podcast, maybe, but I thought they said it on the podcast that we had when we had the three couples, you and your
Yeah.
husband, talking about, but a lot of men talk about coming home to a home cooked meal. It doesn't mean you have to cook it every day or whatever, unless that's what y'all agree to.
Yeah.
But it's not just men that like a home cooked meal,
Right.
but it does have a different kind of a different kind of flavor, a different kind of
Mhm.
power, a different kind of nurturing to actually cook, versus saying, oh, let's go out all the time or let's order in all the time. Like,
Mhm.
you want to know that your wife can cook. You want to know that, I mean, it's just true. And that's just
Yeah.
like, I don't want to, people mad, whatever. Like, it's just true that most men want a woman that can cook. They want to know that their woman can cook.
Yeah.
And so even if it's like three things, but she cooks them really well,
Yes.
just like at
Yes.
least do that. It's very difficult to go to your mother, and it doesn't matter what you think about this, it's still true. It's very difficult to go to your mother and say, I met the woman that I want to marry, I love her. And your mother say, oh, can she cook? Can she? And you're like, oh, or
She
she
looks
comes
good.
over and it tastes like trash or what.
Right.
And then you're embarrassed and the whole thing, because I think ingrained in us, and not from our mothers initially, but from God, is the homemaker aspect of
Mhm.
our life
Yeah.
and our responsibilities. Eve was taking care of the home. She was having the baby. She was taking care of the home. Adam was working and bringing home the money. And
Mhm.
so we have to own it and be able to accept and say, you know what, this is my responsibility.
Yeah.
Now, if we communicate with each other and maybe he's a better cook. You're a fine cook, but he enjoys it and he wants to do it, and we share this responsibility. And that's a whole different thing. She's not saying you have to do it. Obviously, she's saying you could have servants who do it, but you still need to direct it.
Right.
But she's saying you still have to have the knowledge of how to do it, because if your husband's not there, he's out of town, he's sick, he's whatever, you can't be like, oh, can you get up and cook? Even though men would do that to you. But I'm like,
Yeah.
you just need to know and like take that seriously to say, yeah, I don't know how to cook. And the thing is, even if you may know how to cook, but like say your husband's from somewhere else.
Yeah.
At least learn one dish that is
least.
from his country so that can be a blessing to him. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to make everything and be the most complicated or whatever. At least try. You know, it's not going to taste the same as his mother's because she's from there. It's not going to taste the same as it, but at least try to incorporate that into your education.
Yeah, and nowadays, like I said again, with YouTube, I mean, the amount of reels I've had saved, even just from Instagram, where people are cooking a dish, and especially this one guy that does all the vegan ones that make it look like he makes it look like real. I mean, everything, and I'm talking about, and he is West Indian, so he's making all the West Indian type dishes, but they're even a healthier version of it. But people like before, everybody just your grandma may have had their, her famous pound cake or whatever lasagna on a little index card in her little box that had the oil stains on it. May not have got passed down to you. So you learn by being in the kitchen, watching her do it, and that's how you learn, and you tried and true. And this is how we learned growing up. There was no recipe book handed down. We watched, and that's how we learned. But now with all the distractions people have in their phones, if you're gonna be on your phone, start saving some recipes, create your playlist of recipes, and start practicing them. Again, this is part of your own self-development that she encourages you to do. And we basically have been saying it in every chapter of this book. Your own self-development, part of that is learning how to cook and feed yourself healthy stuff.
Yeah.
You cannot DoorDash. I'm sorry, you can't DoorDash, you can't fast food it, because it will ultimately everything. Your body will just hypertension, diabetes, all the bad things that'll come if you're always eating out, because you don't have any control in the amount of salt they're putting in their stuff. You don't know where they're getting it from. And at least by you cooking at home, you have a choice. Like, what you're purchasing, and you're able to say, okay, this is what I put in there. This is what I know was good. This is what it wasn't. But part of your self-development is, hey, I'm going to learn, even if you say I'm going to learn to make one new dish a week. So this person, I mean, like you said, Lorraine, and you end up like those things end up being your your best seller dishes. But hey, come this weekend, like my Sabbath dinner, we got it. Just call me the Big Ziti girl. Like, I make a mean Big Ziti. I didn't grow up on Big Ziti, but I saw the recipe when I was back in Rhode Island years ago on an app, all recipes, and it's on there. And this is just regular people sharing it. And then now I'm like, okay, I know for potluck, I can make an oversized pan of that, and it still tastes good, because that's the other thing. Sometimes that one small pan is different when you stretch it, because you gotta know how much extra garlic to add and all that stuff. But yeah, part of your self-development is that, don't wait till you're married to start budgeting. You budget now. You do that in your singleness. Don't wait to start exercising, drinking your water. And once you meet the one, no, that person cannot be your motivation for you,
because that'll wear off.
It'll wear off, becoming the best version of yourself.
Yeah. Go ahead. You can go there, because that's what I was going to next.
Yeah.
She's talking about, she talks about hygiene. It's kind of a different word than what we use now, but she's talking about how you eat, how you exercise, and water, and all, how you take care of your body. So talk about that.
Yeah, your spiritual strength, your emotional stability, it is essential for a strong marital relationship. If you know right now you're not great at dealing with stress, baby, marriage is going to multiply that times 10. So you got to work on you now with knowing, what are my triggers? What are my areas for mental health that I need to get dealt with? What is my childhood trauma I'm still suffering from? What are things I've been avoiding for years? Like, you need, in your singleness, start getting the help for that now, because marriage is only going to amplify that. And your spouse may be coming in with his stuff he got dealt with. So now you both were in there with all this baggage
Mm-hmm.
looking at each other like, you changed so much. No, this was me. I just was hiding all of it beforehand. But knowing how to take care of yourself is essential. But these aspects of, like Lorraine said, your hygiene, your health wise, like eating right, making a decision to choose to put into your routine already about your sleeping, what time of night you're going to bed. Are you getting enough sleep at night? Are you preparing? Are you either going to do meal prep, or you say, like, I cook a lot on Sundays, so I have leftovers for a couple of days in the week, and then have me cook again Wednesday. Oh, we know there's going to be a Taco Tuesday in our house, so now I'm only buying the things that I need for Taco Tuesday, because I don't want to overspend and also waste things. But you have to start these tools in your singleness. You cannot wait till you have a
You
spouse.
have the right to, and you have the benefit of doing that if you're not already married and trying to figure
Yeah.
it out on the back end, figuring out on
Yes.
the first end, on the front end, and making that a habit that you do for yourself. And now you're
Mhm.
incorporating your husband, your lover, your friend, all the same person, of course,
Mhm. Mhm.
into that routine, and then your children. And then talking about being a hard worker, you know, she's just like, you, we can't have no trifling folks, man or women up in
Yeah.
here. Even if you're not um, the person that's working outside the home, you should be working in the home.
Mhm.
But also to be able to say, if you are in a home where you might need to work outside the home,
Yeah.
to not to reject that because you think, oh, it's just the man that's supposed to be working and making money and
Mhm.
bringing it home. As a team, as a partnership, if there's a need, then you go do the thing that you need to do, and you
Yeah.
be industrious, you be a hard worker, don't be lazy, don't be trifling. And if you are, then you're not bringing, you're taking away from the table versus bringing to the table,
Yes.
you know. And
Yes.
so then you become a burden to, well, you probably were a burden to your parents because you're adult and
Yes.
you're not helping, you're not invest, you know. And sometimes parents make their children a burden. They
Say
create
that.
burdens.
Say
They
that.
create, you know, because mostly children are willing to help from the time they're little. And they may
Mhm.
not do it the way you want them to exactly because they're little, but
Mhm.
if you push them away or shove them away and say no, 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 or if you get mad because they don't do it exactly right and all of that stuff, you're actually killing their desire to want to participate, washing the dishes and cleaning up and all that.
Mhm.
If you have to go back later after they're in bed and finish up some stuff, that's fine, but help
Yeah.
them to know how to do it. My brothers and sisters and I were helping to do laundry. We weren't helping to do laundry. We were pretty
They
much doing the
doing
laundry.
it.
We was like 8, 9, 10, you know, all of
Okay.
that. And we had to go down to the laundromat. My mother would be with us, but we would have to go down to the laundromat every
Mhm.
Sunday. We'd be taking all these bags for, you know, all the bags of laundry to the laundromat. And so it's not like you know, now where you have the washing machine in your house, you can just
Right.
throw it in there, then go watch TV or whatever. It's like you had to be there and all of that. And so these are skills: taking out the trash, washing the dishes, cleaning up the kitchen. What does it mean to wash the dishes? All, like, we should be teaching your children. And that's the other side of this. Like, if you're a woman or a man and you have children, you should be teaching your children how to do these things so that they grow up with that information. That's the point. It's not
Yes.
like, I mean, yeah, you could go to a class, but your home is a classroom. Your
Yeah.
home should be the classroom where you learn these skills, these practical skills, in order to be an adult and then to be a married person.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because even with my son, like I said, it started off even as just him helping me put clothes in the dryer. He loves it. Putting clothes in the
Mhm.
washer. All my kids, okay, come straighten the shoes up that everybody's taking off. You take your coat off when you come home, you hang your backpack up, you hang your coat up. Because mind you, they're doing it at school.
Yes.
So they're gonna do it at home too. You know, when you get up from the table, push your chair in, everybody, you know, empty your plate off, throw trash away. All those things matter because it's teaching them to learn what they need to do later. This week,
Mhm.
he got to learn. He sat down with his sister, Sydney, and she showed him how to fold towels and rags because those are easiest things to do. And so we're like, hey, show him now so that he can He'll upgrade one day to the shirts and the
Yeah.
pants.
Yep.
And so he'll know how to do it because you need to know how to do these things. And so, like you said, it's a right. It's not it's a right to be able to do that, but you also want to be able to take care of yourself. And for those in their singleness who have a desire that once you get married to actually have children, you have to cultivate these things now. So if you're not doing it now, how can you teach your children later?
Mm-hmm.
It is much harder to be in a marriage and then have children later and then try to learn some of this stuff, or just being in a marriage in general, because now you have somebody else you're trying to take care of. And if you're having to learn those domestic things while also learning their personality and how we're going to work together in the marriage, it's going to be more stressful.
It
So
is.
doing all these things outside of being married, um, it's going to just bless you later in life so that you're not stressed out and you're prepared and you're having a better marriage, that you're doing the other things that marriage
Mm-hmm.
is to do because y'all know how to do this. And that's, like you said, it's on both sides. He should hopefully know how to care for himself too before y'all get together,
Right.
so that it's not so draining and taxing on you as well. Um, and just like I said, and it's part of your personal growth, really. Knowing how to take care of you is part of your personal growth
Mm-hmm.
as well. But understanding the responsibilities that it takes to take care of a home, to have a happy and functional home, understanding that it's not always about the spending to the getting the bigger house, but knowing how to take care of the house is what makes a home a happy home.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's
But
right.
she also talks about the desire to have to work, work, work. She didn't put it all in those terms. She put it in their back in the day terms. But let's talk about that hustle and grind. That I gotta make so much money to get the biggest, bestest thing,
Right.
and that is frivolous if you're wasting time if
Yeah.
you don't know how to care for your home, be able to care for your spouse, be able to help your spouse and children when they're sick and care for them, because all you're doing is working.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you're able to do. So that's messing up for your life, your spiritual life here, and theirs too for the future. Because if all the focus is only put into that, and I will tell you, there's a lot of women who school and their career was the priority for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I have a daughter in school right now that I want her to be focused on the books right now.
Yeah, because this is the
Uh,
time for that.
the time for that. But when you get to the career and then you're still like, but no, let me get to the six figures. Okay, no, but now let me become VP. All right, but let me wait until I become, senior VP. Okay, now executive VP. Okay, now CEO. Now I can now get a man or whatever. There's been a lot of time wasted, and now you've spent and done all the things financially, great, but you're now stuck and you're just like,
It's
because
hard to it's hard to meet a man when you're a CEO.
it's hard.
It's
Yeah,
hard to meet a man who's willing to marry a CEO. And I'm
yeah,
not saying you shouldn't strive for that if that's what
yeah,
you feel God has called you to, or just that you want to. That's not the point. Is that um, there can be a trade-off
yeah,
to some of those things if you want to be married.
yeah,
And so yeah, there are many CEOs who are female CEOs who are married, but there are a lot more who aren't.
right,
Or high,
right,
or even you don't even have to be CEO, but particularly if you're a black woman or a woman
yes,
of color, you're going to struggle even more. But yeah, y-
and
there's some great men out there, but not a lot of them want to marry women who are making more money than them, and that's
yeah,
just true.
it's
Now, I'm
true.
not saying like that's not the man for you if he's just like mad that you make more money than him, because I'm like, it's
Yeah,
our money if we get married. So
right,
the difference is a
right,
make,
yes,
But I'm just saying it's already a struggle if you make $25,000 a year. It can be a
hmm,
struggle to meet the right man. It does it as you go up that ladder, it becomes harder. And
yeah,
sometimes, as you get older, it becomes harder, and not impossible, not
yeah,
impossible, but understanding what you really want out of life and how do you balance those two purposes, because you do have a purpose. You do have a purpose. that's separate from a husband.
Yes.
That's not your purpose. So just be mindful, and even be mindful of the fact that if you are CEO or you're high, in the C suites or whatever,
Yeah.
and you have a husband or you meet a husband, I mean, he probably still don't want you to cook. Like, I'm just like, he probably still don't want you to cook.
They used to
He
say
said
the
all
best.
the same nurturing things, because for men, that is a nurturing thing for most
Yes.
men. So he's still going to want that. And
Yeah.
so this is the point of the chapter. Like, whatever station that you are or end up in life, this is still knowledge that you should know if you want to also have a husband and a family,
Yeah.
and even just for yourself, but having a husband and a family. And there's something, she talks about, like how much of an impact it has, positively and negatively, when the wife is prepared for, or unprepared, either way, for that thing. It's like homes are, really challenged. There are husbands, there's conflict that arises often, because the husband may
Mhm.
want, a home cooked meal, maybe not every night. Some want it every night. let's
Yeah.
just be honest.
Yeah.
They don't want to go to a restaurant. They want, your food or home cooked meal. But it's like, and you're just like, well, I don't want to cook every night. Well, like, this is part of the role, unless you all talked about something differently.
Yeah.
Then now there's conflict around these things that necessarily shouldn't be, if we had kind of navigated them early, and then we're prepared for them. It's tiring, because I just think, even for myself, because I'm fine with eating the same thing often. But I just consider the idea of, like, having to think of something to cook every single night for
Girl.
somebody else. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a struggle. But
Yeah.
most people don't even make that many, like maybe 6 to 8 different dishes, and then they cycle through.
Yeah.
Um,
That's it.
but it can be tiring. But we have to remember, at the core, what has God called us to, as wives and as mothers,
Yeah.
to nurturing our family. Again, as she said, you may not be the one doing it, but you're the one directing it.
Hello.
So if you have people who can do that for you, and you have the money, praise the Lord.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you don't, then you need to, but you still need to know how.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. And you still need to know how. And this is why, she urges us and counsels us repeatedly, do not rush into marriage
Yeah.
without God's guidance. And making sure that you have the same shared values as this person,
Mm-hmm.
in a spiritual aspect, and then what they want for their family, what they want for their future. Recognizing too that marriage takes self-sacrifice. If you're a person who is my way or the highway, then you're not ready for marriage,
Yeah.
because it's about self-sacrifice on both sides, men and women, and about teamwork. And it's being able to trust your spouse. If you feel like you're not trusting, that there's things that have to come in that, and part of that trust too can be built even more from the foundation of, hey, if you're gonna take care of me, are you? I'm making the meals, okay? You paying the bills. I'm making the meals, you paying the bills. Good, okay. There's trust, there's teamwork. We're doing our thing. And even back to that cooking, when you said something a few minutes ago, I thought about. I mean, all the time I used to hear the best way to a man is through his stomach. Like, you got to be able to cook. Take care of him. Like you said, you did not want him calling home.
Yeah.
Or his mom. Oh, because I did know somebody whose mother was having to drop off meals a couple of days a week.
Mm.
And it wasn't just, because, you don't make it a make mom, which part of his thing was, you don't make it just like my mama. But she won't make it in it at all, because she just thought, but I look good.
Mm-hmm.
That was enough.
Yeah.
And it's not.
It's not enough.
It's not enough. It's not enough.
So go to the part where you were talking about the money and the men, because we want to talk about the men too. They have responsibilities. She's already said they need to know how to do their thing, but there's like specific responsibilities that she brings up in here that you had already hinted at. So go ahead and as we
Well,
start.
stewardship, basically having financial control and stability on both sides, but particularly the man. You can't. That's why I love back in the day where they didn't let men marry before age 30. Like the man had to have a secure job, stable. He had to actually have his own home and money before he came to ask for the woman's hand in marriage.
Mhm.
Wow. You're like, sometimes you're like, some things need to go back to old school because also this father wasn't letting his daughter go if this man couldn't care for her. This bottom
Right.
line.
Right.
And mind you, I didn't even get on this, but he asked for her hand in marriage. She was not getting down on her knees proposing to him. I digress. I'll get back to the point I was making. But even the Bible says a man that does not work does not eat.
Mhm.
So if he ain't working, of course you ain't
And if
cooking.
he ain't eating, you ain't eating either.
Right. Nobody's eating. Your lights are probably turned
It
off.
don't matter if you can cook if you ain't got no food in the house, right?
Yeah, if you got no food house, and if he ain't working, then how's he even gonna care for you? But he needs to be. It shouldn't even be the woman having to coach you into. I believe once you're together and maybe your help meet maybe is affirming you and it is encouraging. Maybe you're getting higher in your role, but this is not something you're doing, man. Before just once you get her, you're supposed to be already working.
Yep.
In your trade.
Mm-hmm.
Doing what you need, like you are regular at that job. You already got a 401k established before you go out there and try to talk about being somebody's husband.
Exactly. And
Take
we
care of
know
yourself.
situations happen. You might lose a job. That happens.
Yeah.
That's different. But when you come to the table, and that happened probably less often at that time than it did. People used to work their whole lives at one place. But it certainly happens now, and people change jobs and all of those things. But when he comes to the table, you shouldn't be providing for him. You shouldn't be taking care of him. And we had an episode last season where we talked about if he's broke, should you marry him? And people were having some issues with my response, and my response was no, you shouldn't. Like and if you broke, I'm not even dating you because you're not in a position.
Right.
What are we doing? What can you do?
Right.
I'm not in a position
Mm-hmm.
you're not in a position to even demonstrate to me, as she says here, that you can take me out on a date, let alone take care of the household.
Come on.
Get yourself together and then holla back at me.
Holla
I'm
back.
not mad at that.
Holla back. Woo, woo. There was a song, and it's so funny because I can remember vividly us being in the car one day. My mom may remember that, she's on, and I think we were traveling somewhere. We was probably coming home, but we were hungry. And somebody said somebody being hungry, and then my mom broke out, I can do bad by myself. I don't need no help to starve to death. Like, understand, I don't know all the other lyrics to that song, but that was the chorus. Mm-hmm. That brother knew what he was talking about. Okay? Because how are you going to ask for her hand? How are you trying to be her man and you can't even help her out? Mm-hmm. Like, you can't. I had a girl texting, can you send me money for lunch? I'm like, where's your man? If he's your man and y'all living together, how are you texting me to cash app you for lunch? I'm confused. He ain't your man. You starving. And also, the Bible sets up clear examples of what the man should do. Way back to the Garden of Eden, Adam's tilling the ground. That's his job.
Wet on your brow, bruh. You need to bring home.
He's working. He's working. The Bible says he don't work, he don't eat. The other thing is, the man is supposed to be the leader of the house. How can you lead if you're not providing?
Mm-hmm. Some people.
And how could you expect her to submit to your plans and your visions, and you're not able to put a plan together yourself and carry it out and work? Yep. And not the ones that every job you having to quit, or every job you getting fired off because these people acting funny. No, bro, go get your mental health checked. It ain't them, it's you.
Just have some resilience.
Have some resilience, but
you don't got to be there all forever. You just work your shift and you come on home. Yeah, there's going to be some of that on every job, unless you even if you have your own business, Lord help you.
Yes.
But I'm saying you may
Yes.
not have the microaggressions, but you have other stuff that,
Yeah.
no matter what you do, there's always going to be challenges in work, in life, in just everything.
Yeah.
No man is excusable for being without financial stability. Of many a man, it might be said, this is at the end, he is kind, amiable, generous, a good man, a Christian, but he is not qualified to manage his own business.
Whoop.
As far as the outlay of means is concerned, he is a mere child.
My God.
He has not been brought up by his parents to understand and to practice the principles of self-support.
Okay.
And she just dropped the mic. Like, that's the end of the chapter. She's just like, okay, I'm done. If he can't pay, then you need to stay away. That's it.
Okay. It's about to be. We about to make a bookmark out of that. Okay. Just stay away. But that's the reality, and unfortunately, I've seen it time and time again. Is going back to the potential, aligning yourself, getting stuck with yourself, walking down the aisle, marrying someone only based on the potential. Well, he has the potential to do.
Right.
What does he have now?
Right.
Because he needs, what is it? He's not supposed to come. Even in some cultures, in some countries, he's still bringing a dowry. Like, you're not getting the daughter's hand. I don't care how much y'all in love. If you've not shown up with XYZ dollars.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because how can
and this
you?
is still not a bad idea.
It's
Because
not.
another thing that she says, besides it's kind of demonstrating that you're really committed to this, like Jacob's like, I'm gonna work 7 years.
Yes.
Got the trick wife. Then he's like, I work another 7 years. But the thing that she says is that it also eliminates those hasty marriages.
Yes.
Because if you actually have to prove that you can take care of, now you got time to think. You got time to work. You got time for all of that. And suddenly stuff ain't as attractive and that you as you thought it was. And you just like, oh, maybe this is not the right one for me. But we don't put up any resistance to can she keep house? Can she cook? When I go to her house, does it look a hot mess? Now let me just, sometimes because I got the little space and I be trying to keep it, but sometimes, but if you were coming over, it wouldn't look like that. Right. But, I'm just like, I need to do better for myself too. But I mean, it's not like trashy, but you know what I'm saying? Right. So I think that can she do this? Can she do that? Can he do this? Can he do that? Like when we start asking those kinds of questions versus just like, oh, I love him. What do you love about him? Because it's gonna wear off when you can't buy no eggs because they $9 and I'm like, he only makes $7.50 an hour. Like, it's gonna wear off when you can't eat at home because everything she made tastes like trash. Right. And she not interested in that. She just like, no, we're gonna order. And even when you making money, you can't keep it because we keep ordering DoorDash or whatever. Right. Uber Eats. And so these are questions that if we start putting people to the test, now, we talked about values, we talked about red flags and green flags or whatever, but like we need to start putting people to the test of how can we build a home together? Yeah. And if we can't, we need to either learn how or we need to realize, well, we really need to learn how, because even if we marry someone else, we still don't need them skills. But we need to realize, let's slow down. Let's learn some of the practical things. Marriage prep 101. It's not picking out the dress. It's not picking out the colors. It's not deciding who's coming to the wedding because they kind of think they're your friend, but they're not really your friend. That's not how you prepare for marriage. How you prepare for marriage is becoming the person who can nurture and take care of your family as a woman, who knows how to take care of their needs and health. You don't have to become a nurse, but you need to understand some of these things. You know how to financially provide for your family. And even if you do lose a job, you have other skills that you can put into place while you waiting for a job. Those men who got side hustles, they can build stuff. They can, like they can do other things. They'll drive a taxi or Uber or whatever. Like that has to be that kind of diligence in industry, she calls it, around making a home because having a wedding is easy. Having a marriage and a home is not.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's so good, and it's so simple. It can all be so simple. That's what Lauren here says. But you rather make it hard. Like, that's the reality. That is the reality, because people get caught up in the feelings and caught up in um, the idea of a wedding
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
or the ceremony day,
Mm-hmm.
the glitz and the glam, and not the reality of what it takes. Two people coming together, sacrificing, compromising, being a team. Him, the servant leadership, the wife, the steward leadership. Because the other thing is, um, my grandmother used to also talk about, well, and Victor's grandmother too, like some of the old school women, the man worked, he literally came over and just brought the paycheck to the woman. And not like she's controlling money, like, give me your money, but she knew what needed to be paid, what needed to
Right.
be purchased, what needed to be bought, and managed it.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a lot of people, oh no, we keep our own separate accounts. Some people have a joint. So we have a joint and two separates. Whatever it is, you're in a house, you're in a marriage, it's one pot technically all over. And if both of you are, as soon as you get your paycheck, you both gonna get new sneakers, new dress, new shoes, and then it's, oh, what bills we got? Like, ask the person beforehand, what's your hobby? What are your hobbies? If he says, oh, I like buying sneakers every Jordan to come out, 200 and more a pop.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very expensive hobby. And all the, you every girl, I take it once a quarter, I'm going on a trip, and maybe you can get a great deal. But neither of you are savers. You need to know this before the I do's.
Right.
And you, as part of your, what she said again, part of your right as a woman is to be good with your money. Is to be good with your money and understand what needs to be cared for, where it needs to go in the home.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's out here providing it, and he needs to be able to trust you that when he comes home, you as his partner
Right.
is also making good choices with it.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
he's not bringing it home for you to burn it. And every time he comes home, there's a new Amazon package on the step.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also complain about the eggs. Well, you still got your Amazon package out there. But these are practical things. And
These are practical things.
and ultimately though, you're dating. I mean, you're married now. So if you're married and you're already doing it, but then you also plan to have kids, think about all the stuff. I know I cringe at the amount of shoes I gave away one time that I had in totes. And as I start to price each one, and especially when money got tight, I start looking like, yeah, look, you add it up. You have to get these habits now before the next, because it's just going to amplify. Because now you don't really, once you're married, you really don't talk about adding kids. You really don't have a lot of time for more self-development now at this point. Because now it's you two building together, coming together and figuring out each other and what do you want your marriage to look like and doing all those things. I mean, you may get some time in there. You might get time management. So we're basically just saying, guys, work on you now before that time comes.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying once you get married, these things can't be repaired. I'm living
Of
witness.
course not. Of course
I'm
not.
living witness that there's a lot of.
But it's just so much easier.
Oh, but it's so much easier. Like I said,
It's so much easier to just get those habits dialed in.
Yeah.
Now, because there's going to be other things that can't be revealed until you're married.
Yes.
So at least do the things that you know now, as we're sharing and you're learning, do those things now.
Yeah.
So that you can deal with the other things and not these things too, because these are still going to be a problem. Yeah. But you're going to have to deal with them. If you deal with them now that you have the gift of singleness, then you are single on purpose, which is the name of the book. That's
hello.
All right, y'all. Okay.
Yeah. My last tip was just to say to pray specifically for wisdom and preparation, not just for a spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's ultimately what you need, wisdom and preparation. And even when you begin to date, asking the Holy Spirit for discernment. Because a person can't tell you, oh, I'm good at this, I'm good at that. You may not see it. You may not see their bank statement. Even though I'm telling you, if you was my mom, you go see that bank statement. My mom, like, what a paycheck looking like. I knew all these things, okay? I saw all those things. That's how I was raised. Some people like, no, that's private. Depending on how serious you're getting with a person,
Right,
you
exactly. Not on the first date, but
not
if
on
you
first
talking
date.
about getting married and stuff, you need to know. There needs
You
to be a
need to
whole
know.
open conversation. What's the debt,
Right.
looking like, and all that kind of stuff.
What's their
So,
credit score looking like? Where are we going to be able to ever buy a home down the line?
mhm.
Because you got
And what's
defaulted
hard.
student loan, you know?
And it's like it doesn't mean that you can't get married. It means you might need to wait a little bit, but it means
Yeah,
that now you have all the information that you can put together a plan together. And if the person's open to the plan, great.
yeah,
If we're all open to the plan and we're implementing the plan, fantastic.
yeah,
But if we're not, then that's told you something already. Don't think you're gonna get married and then they're gonna be wanting to change. Because if they
yeah.
won't change when we just date and engage and trying to do something good for our
Hmm.
relationship, you can hang it up when you get married. You can
Yeah.
hang that up. So
Right. Because it's signed, sealed, delivered, baby. I'm yours. They're like, oh, we in here now. Don't try to change them now.
absolutely. Did I forget to mention that our 100th episode celebration is on April 8th? We have something special for you all. And I hope that you are putting in the comments. I'm going to go check those comments because I don't know if y'all put in the comments that your favorite guest, your favorite takeaway from all of the episodes that we've done,
Yes.
all of the things that we've done. We need to see that. I want to hear from you. Send us an email, Lorraine@asinglemission.com. Lorraine@asinglemission.com. You see my name up there.
Hmm.
Um, and who was your favorite guest? What was your favorite episode? Why? Talk to us. Share some of your good memories of this podcast so we can talk about it on the show. We've reached out to our guests who've been there and we're asking them as
Yes.
well. We have some special stuff that we want to do. So we want you to be a part of that. So please, 100 episodes is a huge milestone. Most people don't last in this podcasting world that long. And so we
Yes.
praise God for that. We thank you for you, but we need your help in that. So
Yes.
thank you for joining us again. And until next time, make choices that will help you live, love, and marry wiser. God bless you.
Good night, guys.